Here we are again, the second Tuesday. Time for our next Ask Dad, He Knows segment. Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Dr. Will, and welcome to Dr. Will Presents. They say that two things are certain. We'll look at both of those today. If you like content like this, then hit the old subscribe button below and you'll get more of the same. You see this sign that I use to introduce my Ask Dad, He Knows segment. It comes from It's a Wonderful Life, a film that was made in 1946. I was recently in Butte, Montana, and I saw this. Notice the saying in the lower right corner, Ask Dad, He Knows, the tagline for Sweet Caporal cigarettes. There are quite a few of these old signs painted on the sides of buildings in Butte, done before the advent of billboards. They're called ghost signs, and they're advertisements for products that no longer exist. Nobody's paying anybody to take them off the sides of buildings, so people are letting Mother Nature take care of it. But for now, they continue to haunt the sides of buildings. If you have ghost signs in your town, take a picture of your favorite and send them to me. We'll put the best of them on a Pinterest board. Question number 1 comes from Cecilia B. Dr. Will, I have several different jobs. I'm worried about taxes. None of my employers are withholding very much. What should I do? This is a big challenge in the gig economy. Each of your employers only knows what they pay you and what you put on your W-4. So your withholding from each of the employers is going to be based on that. We have a progressive tax system, so that means that as your income rises, the percentage of tax that you pay rises as well. That means that you have taxes collected from each of your multiple employers. Let's say they collect 10%, but when you add them all together, you end up owing 20% because of the higher tax rate. That means that you've only had half of the taxes withheld, which becomes a big surprise come April. So use the IRS tax estimator, link provided, that will help you understand what extra amount should be taken from each of those different employers' paychecks, so that when you get to April, you won't be surprised with a big tax bill and no money to pay it. You can either adjust all of your withholdings at each of your employers, or put aside enough money each month to make the difference from what is being withheld to what you will owe. The second implies that you have enough self-discipline not to touch the money that you've set aside to pay your taxes. If that is a concern, then you may want to go ahead and have the additional amount withheld rather than saved. If you're self-employed, which means you work as a contractor and receive 1099s from your gigs, you will also be required to pay what is called a self-employment tax, which is the employer contribution of Medicare and Social Security for employees. That's an additional 7.5% on top of everything else. So you need to set that aside as well. Question number 2 comes from Bob M. Dr. Will, I'm worried about the coronavirus. What should I do? Well, without getting into the whole Corona Dos Equis dispute, that said, remember that the press reports what's newsworthy or sensational. Pandemics are great for the bottom line of the media. Everybody's worried, everybody's seeking information. I would be unsurprised if they started each broadcast going forward with the body count, kind of like they did during the Vietnam War, or the number of days we've had corona deaths, like Ted Koppel did with the Iranian hostage crisis during the Carter administration. First fact, the unknown is scary. It's the flip side of knowledge is power. We don't know quite enough yet about the COVID-19 virus to know how much prevention is too much or too little. Second fact, the current flu strain that's going around has already killed 20,000 people. COVID-19 has killed hundreds. Both are spreading around the world. The Spanish flu pandemic of 100 years ago killed 50 to 100 million people around the world. It spread more slowly because transportation was much more slow. Treatment was less effective as well because it was treated with medical technology of 100 years ago. Our technology today is much better. So if people are referring back to the Spanish flu pandemic, realize that we have a lot of advantages over our ancestors of 100 years ago. One more interesting point about the Spanish flu pandemic of 100 years ago was that it affected not only the old and the infirm, but also the young and healthy. Third fact, COVID-19 appears to be more like a typical flu virus in that it is more dangerous for the old and the infirm than for the young and healthy. So it's much more like a normal flu epidemic, which is why we get flu shots every year. Practical prevention: wash your hands. Keep your hands away from your face. Cover your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze. Don't go out if you're contagious. Anyone who's trying to use your fear of this disease for commercial or political purposes is a rapscallion. Shun them. Looks like I only have time for these two big questions this week. Let me leave you with a parting thought. Today we talked about the two certainties, death and taxes. Life is serious. Life also has a lot of beauty and joy. Don't let anybody take that from you. Take some time to be quiet and still, and be at peace. Thanks for stopping by today. Remember, a conversation is more interesting than a monologue, so drop a comment below. If you like this content and would like more of it, then hit the old subscribe button and you'll get it. That's it for me for you for now. Have a great week ahead. Be careful out there. I'll be seeing you. Bye.